Much to the aggravation of westward-looking colonials, the British Crown attempted to contain settler expansion with the Proclamation of 1763. The Royal Declaration prohibited settler migration and colonial land sales west of the Appalachian Mountains, and through 1775, the British colonial government prioritized a policy of separation between white and native peoples. By 1766, Cherokee representatives and South Carolina colonial officials established a mutually agreed-upon boundary dividing white and native space delineated by natural features and human-made markers. When the Hamptons arrived in the Tiger River Valley, the uninhabited site they discovered was not a product of preordained grace, but the result of an agreement between the Cherokee and South Carolina to refrain from American colonists settling along what contemporaries refer to as the Indian boundary. The Hamptons' encroachment, whether done out of ignorance or opportunity, directly challenged Cherokee territorial security and disregarded imperial guarantees of protection for native communities. The Hamptons' act of colonial aggression in 1773 precipitated the suffering they soon endured in 1776 when the Cherokee launched a war to defend their people and lands against colonial expansion. Ultimately, the Cherokee were unsuccessful. In the aftermath of conflict, white Southerners such as the Hamptons prospered from the violent acquisition of native land and the selective memorialization of their role as founding settlers. The Hamptons quickly reframed the memory of native resistance along the Indian boundary from settlers threatening native safety and sovereignty to peaceful white victims brutalized by duplicitous native neighbors. As the Hamptons prospered across generations, first as backcountry merchants to wealthy slaveholders and then influential politicians, they perpetuated a family lore that erased their role as aggressive invaders and portrayed themselves as suffering victims of native violence. Originally from Virginia, family patriarch Anthony Hampton was on the rise in the late 18th century South. Born in 1715, Anthony descended from English colonists who arrived in Virginia not long after the founding of Jamestown. While his ancestors received generous land grants from the colony upon their immigration, by the time of his birth, the more than 2,000 acres of colonial head rights enjoyed by his forebears had been either sold off or diluted through multiple inheritances. As a young man in the late 1730s, Anthony was farming on rented land in Prince William County, Virginia, with seemingly few prospects of personal wealth or community prestige. Not long after the death of his father in 1748, Anthony and his family, eventually including 7 sons and 2 daughters, began a series of migrations that took advantage of colonial expansion and native dispossession. The Hamptons headed to the western edges of the North Carolina colony, and by 1754, Anthony was able to purchase a 300-acre tract of land along the Dan River in Rowan County near the Virginia border. As a newly organized county in 1753, Rowan was vast and ill-defined. The county's northern border followed the Virginia line, but its western reaches, according to North Carolina's colonial government, remained unspecified. Over the next few decades, the Hamptons accumulated wealth through land speculation and local influence through county governance. When the French and Indian War hit settlers in North Carolina, the Hampton men served in the colonial militia. Alongside 50 mounted militia, Anthony rode in monthly patrols through the Dan and Yadkin River valleys as far west as the foothills.